How to play without fear. Look at legendary Chelsea captain John Terry. During the Champions League final of 2008, Chelsea versus Manchester United, following a 1-1 draw after extra time, the match proceeded to penalty shootouts. John Terry had the chance to win the trophy from the penalty spot, but the captain slipped as he struck the ball, and his shot went wide and rebounded off the post. United went on to win their third Champions League trophy instead. What happened? Why did he miss the shot? Let's find out. Pressure to perform, fear of injury, past failure, fear of mistakes, and self-doubt. Any one of these could be responsible for players playing a game with fear. But the mindset that separates the good from the great is playing without fear. Whether it's on the court or on the field, fear can be an invisible opponent holding a player back from reaching their peak performance. But the truth is, even sports legends feel the pressure and sometimes make mistakes. Terry opened up about this in an interview. Quote, "I often still wake up literally in the middle of the night, and it's there. Champions League final, missing the penalty. You have so many successes, but it's strange how you remember that. But more importantly, how everybody else remembers it as well, and reminds you." So even the great John Terry made a major mistake. Things happen. But it didn't make him any less confident of a player as he went on to win the Champions League with the same club 4 years later in 2012. In a study of footballers, it was found that the most common fear was the fear of shame and embarrassment. This is seen in athletes who play it too safe, as they don't want to be the one who makes a mistake and embarrasses themselves or costs their team. For these athletes, the fear of making a mistake is larger than the hope of doing something well. If a player is just looking to survive when they step in the game and get over with it, they're going to make it hard for themselves to achieve anything because they won't attempt to score, won't try the dribble, won't go for the optimistic pass, and will only end up playing a safe negative game. That's what happens when a player goes into a game with fear. So, how do players play without fear? Number 1, embrace the fear. Psychologists believe that there are 3 ways people cope with fear. These are the avoidant, emotional, and problem-focused methods. While avoidant and emotion-focused coping may provide some short-term relief, problem-focused coping addresses the issues head-on, allowing the person to make long-term gains. So while it may seem a little counterintuitive, players should never try to avoid what it is they fear and should never run from it. The emotions of fear are ever present and will affect the body's response. Running from fear only prolongs having to deal with the issue at hand and can further heighten the fear of the particular situation. It is likely that a player will never reach their desired performance levels unless the fears are diminished. Often, when an athlete experiences the fear of failure, for instance, they immediately try to fight it. This usually manifests in them trying to convince themselves that they are not nervous and that they do not fear failing, when in reality, they're terrified. However, this technique only keeps them focused on the fear itself, ironically. So the most powerful step is for the player to accept that they do have a fear of failure and to remind themselves that they won't let that fear hold them back in the moment. If a player goes into a game trying to fight the fear of failure, all their attention will be on the fear when the game begins and while they are competing. This distracts the player, not to mention lowers their confidence because they are constantly thinking about the possibility of failure. Instead, what works for players is to accept the fear of failure and then think about something else. They cannot will the fear of failure away. The only way to reduce the fear they feel is by working to build a more positive state of mind, like confidence. And to build such a state, they must no longer be focused on the fear. Once they accept their fears, this puts them in a position to change what they're thinking about. By changing what they're thinking about, they can work to generate a different mental state.
I then got injured, we were bottom of the league, not playing well, everything just got on top of me and it was like a snowball effect. And I was lucky that a physio, Natalie, that was one of those.
Number 2, breathing exercises. After accepting their fears and getting it off their mind, the next step is just to breathe. It is commonly said that in moments of anxiety or fear, a few deep breaths help. But very few people actually understand the physiological effects this has on helping people calm down because of how simplistic it is. In 1921, Otto Lowe, a German physiologist, discovered that stimulating the vagus nerve by taking deep, slow breaths would cause the nerve to release a certain substance which could reduce a person's heart rate and other symptoms like sweaty palms and shaking hands. The chemical released by the stimulation of the vagus nerve is called acetylcholine. It is in essence a tranquilizer that can be administered by a person when they take a few simple deep breaths. Serbian tennis star Novak Djokovic has established himself as one of the best players under pressure. No matter what the situation he's in, the world number one has always found a way to come back into the match. And how does he do it? He revealed in a recent interview, quote, "This is how I try to get myself back into the optimum state of mind. Through breath work, conscious breathing, whether it's just 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 breaths, depending on how much time I have. Just conscious breathing. It's simple as that." Novak's mental strength is also second to none, and it was seen yet again in the 2021 Australian Open when the Serbian suffered an injury in the 3rd round, and many thought he wouldn't continue. However, he found the motivation amidst the fear and uncertainty to play, and he ended up winning his 9th title in Melbourne. Number 3, trust your skills. This is another component of playing without fear because a lack of faith in skills will cause a player to continually doubt himself. This is another component of playing without fear because a lack of faith in skills will cause a player to continually doubt themselves. This doubt opens up the doors for fear to sneak back in no matter what other techniques the player has tried. So how do players develop trust in their skills? Well, the initial thinking is to practice and practice to improve. But most players already do this anyway. But while practice is important, it is the only part of the equation. It does not get to the root of the psychological problems that cause the lack of trust in skills in the first place. The first tool players can use to gain trust in your abilities is positive self-talk. Since they are dealing with fear, it is likely that their internal dialogue is already negative, and players must work to change that. Positive self-talk leads to greater self-confidence and a more optimistic outlook on the situation. There are many proven benefits of positive talk, including increased confidence, less stress, and lower levels of sports performance anxiety. Here's one positive self-talk routine players can use to overcome fear. Step 1 is to list out all the negative thoughts and beliefs that you currently have about themselves and their game. Step 2 is to create a positive alternative for each statement. Step 3, they repeat the new list of positive statements at least once a day. Step 4, they repeat the new list to themselves before and during games to increase confidence and reduce fear. Manchester City midfielder Kevin De Bruyne also thinks it's vital for footballers to ignore external criticism and trust their skills and instincts if they are to showcase their talent. "Don't be afraid to make a mistake," he said. "Sometimes people will be scared to make a pass knowing their reaction outside. If people react to a bad pass, whatever. Try to get the ball back again. Try to do the same action or try something else. It doesn't matter. I don't care about the pass completion. That's not what I am here for. I'm here to do what I am good at." So, players should take it from the best midfielder in football and trust in their skills. And that's how players are able to play without fear, by accepting their fears, calming themselves down, and trusting in their skills. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more content like this. See you next time.